How's it going, everybody? We got another Superior 6 video for today, and their impact in Crucible, it's a problem. We're going to break that down, look at a bunch of different examples of them in action, and talk about what counters them, and why they're probably going to ruin Crucible for a lot of people. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's start talking about the most difficult stage, the stage that has the most RNG in it. And that's going to be stage 1, the teamwork stage, where the most common team in action is the enemy secret defenders, and there's a bunch of different fists that they use to replace Doctor Strange. The most common non-Skrull option is going to be Noir. Now, the good news is we do have footage of the Sinister Six team beating the secret defender Noir, but you need Echo. So let's watch what happens when we don't bring in Echo. So this comes compliments of Juicy, and he is trying to do a very big punch-up. But the punch-up doesn't matter so much as just the mechanics behind what's about to happen. So the reason this matchup will not work against big, high-scaled secret defenders is basically because of the Noir. The Noir taking a billion turns, calling in a billion assists. Without Echo stopping the assist, the enemy is just running roughshod over you. So he's going to pause it. Let me just fast forward a little bit. And as you see, the turns don't stop. All the bleeds keep fueling the Robbie Reyes. Is now a 3v5, which, I mean, you know, it's Lizard, it's Green Goblin. Maybe they can still pull it off until Black Cat does that nasty sun. All right, but now let's go look at a version of this fight where Echo isn't. All right, so this comes compliments of a friend of the Twitch chat and the Dorky community, ER Nurse. Now, he was able to record his Superior 6 with Echo, tackling the Secret Defenders Noir on a 360,000 punch-up. Now, he replaced Spider Slayer. I got some thoughts on that. We'll talk about that. We'll pause the fight as we go to kind of talk about who maybe would have been a better replacement here. But this is actually pretty encouraging. So they do seem to safely handle Secret Defenders Noir when we sub in Echo. And that's good. Okay, so what's his face? Lizard is going to be coming in here first. Let me just squeeze this so we can actually see the abilities in use. Lizard's going to get all the abilities, or sorry, all the buffs off of the Secret Defender team, which is going to allow the Terminator Rewinds from Goblin to actually take it to effect. Now, unfortunately, Goblin does not go before Hardlight in this case because of the lack of the 5th Superior 6 member. So one thing I would immediately change here is I would move Echo beside the Lizard instead. Echo will then eat the Terminator Rewind with the Lizard instead of Kraven, because we want Kraven to do an ability block. So that's the first change I would make here. So Goblin's then going to get to go, and he is going to, you know, remove a bunch of the buffs here, and he's going to do a Terminator Rewind and just do a lot of damage, also calling in further attacks, right? Now, this is the next change I would make. So we're going to see Doc Ock takes a turn, but he doesn't actually do an attack, so he doesn't call in any assists. He summons the Shocker, which is cool. You know, it gives people offense up. It gives regens. Shocker, should he reach his ability, which he's not going to, will do a nice Terminator Rewind. You replace Doc Ock here. You don't bring the Doc Ock in. You bring in the Spider Slayer instead. Spider Slayer gives you armor that kind of helps cushion the loss of the 40% life we lose from not having Doc Ock. He gives 20% damage to Superior 6 allies. That is greater than the 15% Doc Ock is giving to Kraven and to Green Goblin, because he only gives 15% to Chargeable. And so Lizard is also getting an additional 20% damage buff, and he's giving you offense up on spawn. So Goblin's ult is hitting with offense up, doing more damage. So yes, Doc Ock is getting subbed out for this fight, in my opinion. And then Echo beside Lizard instead of Kraven, and I think this matchup is going to be very easy. But as you see, our friend here, our Nurse, he's still going to ace this fight. He has to eat the stun from Goblin, or stun on Goblin. He wouldn't have to do that if Kraven was able to ability block the Black Cat, so keep that in mind. And then also Spider Slayer would have done his super punch on some character here, because they are a Spider-Verse, Black Cat is, I should say. And then calls in the assist, it does like 6 attacks total, all with offense up. A character dies to that Spider Slayer hit, right? So this is encouraging. So yes, it can beat Secret Defenders Noir. However, it cannot beat Skrull. The Skrull Thanos version does not work. Just Skrull with Secret Defenders, it does not work. Big time with Secret Defenders, regular Superior 6, the 5-piece, demolishes it. Dormammu with Secret Defenders, the regular Superior 6 demolishes it. All right, so that's the good and the bad, right? Now, moving on, let's talk about the other options we have for just these teams. We already had 3 one-shot options for the Secret Defenders Noir. You know, we could use Echo New Warriors. That works. It's a little sketchy. Echo Masters of Evil. Again, it works. It's a little sketchy. So the good news is Superior 6 Echo is a lot safer than the options that we have. And we have Darkhold, which I've done once in like a 600k punch up. Would not recommend it at all. Then we have the Thanos Skrull version. We do have a solution for that one. We're going to burn it. We need to use Echo. We need to use tanky characters with lots of buffs. We let Skrull take his turn. We pause the game. We let it time out. We follow up with Apocalypse Masters of Evil. All right. Same thing with if there is no Thanos, there's just a regular Skrull. We use what I call the Jutsu Special, which is a bunch of tech characters, including Vision and Minerva, with a Drax around 2 weak minions that Skrull is going to one-shot. And again, we followed up with Master of Evil Apocalypse. Then we have the Spider-Man Big Time. Once again, we could one-shot that the same way we can with the Noir. It's a little bit uglier in some situations, but we got the New Warriors Echo. We have the Masters of Evil Echo, and then we have the Darkhold team. All of those can beat the Secret Defender Big Time option, though Superior 6, full Superior 6 is just a lot cleaner. And then the Dormammu version, we have the New Warriors Echo team, which can also take it out, which is actually pretty efficient, actually, with the perma-kills coming from both Gwenpool and from Deathpool. So, arguably, Superior 6 will help deal with this issue. They don't really help with much else, though. So the other meaningful Crucible defensive teams, you know, you have your Gamma, your Darkhold, you have your Death Seed in 5. Sometimes you can see Tangled Web there. Black Order in 3, normally with a Quicksilver. Pegasus in 2. Sometimes people throw New Avengers in there if they got them big. Wakanda if you're desperate. Rebirth if you're desperate. Unlimited in 4 or 5. And Infinity Watch just to be an efficiency suck. And sometimes you'll, you know, put in some steroid characters, like I said earlier. Maybe Quicksilver with Black Order. Maybe you'll throw Apocalypse in with a team, though I haven't seen many people doing that because you need Apocalypse to do a Skrull. Dormammu can go in there. He can go in with the Secret Defenders like we talked about. He can go in with Unlimited. He can go in with he can go in there with Red Hulk and the Gamma team. Same with Big Time. He can go with Gamma. He can go in with Darkhold. He kind of just makes things a little bit more interesting, and with Tangled Web. Doom is a big favorite with the Black Order community, as well as with the Tangled Web community. Then Emma always changes the flow of fights, and then Red Guardian also, that pre-taunt can change things up, right? However, nothing on that left side column of the common defenses and the story characters that I mentioned cannot be handled by our other offensive teams. New Warriors, if you have your Tangled Web on offense, Eternals, Apocalypse, Quicksilver, Doom, have that on offense, Kang, there's a bunch of different options that we have, right? Crucible is only 6 rooms, so there's lots of options to deal with what faces us, except for Skrull. Now, the problem is, Superior 6 suck at dealing with Skrull. Alright, so Skrull's passive that when an enemy gains a positive effect or when this character or ally gains a negative effect, heal self for 5% of his max health, fill his speed bar by 10%. You tack that on to the turn meter rewinds that Skrull does, the insane damage that Skrull does, him putting himself in stealth with safeguard and defense up, you have a problem. And that problem is mostly because of all the on-spawn buffs Superior 6 comes in with. So Green Goblin, if he has the Awakened abilities, he's giving 2 defense up to all Sinister 6. Lizard is giving 3 deflect to all Superior 6, and he gives himself 5 death proof. Kraven is giving 1 safeguard to all Superior 6. Doc Ock actually doesn't do any on-spawn buffs, but the second a turn is taken, he gives deflex and speed up. Spider Slayer is giving 1 defense up to all Superior 6. So again, that's 5 buffs. That's 50% turn meter for the Skrull. And then the older characters, Mysterio is giving 2 deflect to all Superior 6, gives immunity to himself, and he spawns in 3 more characters that all have the Sinister 6 tag, so all the buffs that all the other characters get, those dupes get too, and that's a problem. The Vulture, do they get the buffs? I'm always confused if the dupes get the buffs. I'd have to go back and play a couple matches to see. Maybe they spawn in after all the on-spawn buffs happen. Maybe it depends where Mysterio's positioned. We're going to play around with that. I digress. The more characters that are there, it could lead to problems when buffs are being applied, either by the likes of Goblin, if he's giving Safeguard to members, or Doc Ock when he's giving regens. Those extra dupes can work against you. And then finally, we have the Vulture. Vulture, if an enemy has speed up on spawn, he's going to give speed up to the entire team. So that's 1 speed to all Sinister Six allies. And then he puts 2 slows on the enemy. All this to say, if you take in Sinister Six or Superior Six into a Skrull team, even one that is not Secret Defenders, it can get super hairy super quick because Skrull basically races to his ultimate. He destroys a bunch of characters and then he still hides. And when he hides, he can then start popping off with more turns, more turn meter rewinds. And if he's with a semi-decent defensive team, it tends to beat the enemy Superior 6 team, or your Superior 6 team. And also, most Skrull teams, especially like Undying teams, or Gamma teams, or Unlimited teams that have Skrull on them, they're beaten by Red Guardian, Emma, Eternals, and Apocalypse. So it's just a much easier way to counter it, right? So they don't really help us answer that Skrull problem with any plus efficiency. And then, there's always the threat of the mirror matchup. So on spawn, Goblin is gaining. The most important part is that middle text. In Crucible, fill speed bar by 9% per Superior 6 ally. And then his ultimate, which is going to do a 30% turn meter rewind, because it does 10%, because you have 4 other Sinister 6 members with you, and it repeats 2 times. Now, the problem with the mirror match is, if you are doing Superior 6 for Superior 6, it's a coin flip on which Goblin goes first. And because that ultimate is stripping charges, and because even if you have the Awakened ability, if you lost the coin flip, you can get your charges stripped, you can then get your Green Goblin ability blocked by the enemy Craven, it can go to hell in a handbasket super quick. So the mirror matchup is not safe. Those Awakened abilities, they don't do enough to protect you from the mirror matchup. The extra defense level on spawn from the Green Goblin passive, the extra charges from the Green Goblin ultimate, and the extra crit chance on the basic, it doesn't do enough to sure up the mirror matchup, right? So it's like kind of a 50% you might lose, especially if you're doing a punch up. It's a problem. And that's where the big problem comes from. The whole reason I want to make this video. It now seems the smartest way to play Crucible, because I always like to say, let your opponent mess up. You don't take the responsibility onto yourself. Because Skrull Secret Defenders can't be beat by Superior 6, and because the mirror matchup looks super sketchy, especially on any kind of punching range, it kind of seems like both of these teams end up on defense. Now, some people currently have Skrull on offense, and they might think that they're completely safe from this. The problem is, Skrull Apocalypse is kind of needed for the Secret Defender Skrull team, because Secret Defenders are so good. They're so dang good, right? And maybe there's Apocalypse variants, like an Apocalypse Doom variant that can take out Superior 6. The problem, though, is that you need the Apocalypse for both matches. So you end up stretching your opponent so much by having both of these teams on defense. And I think that is the huge problem Superior 6 are going to be bringing to a Crucible near you, probably next week. Is you're going to see Skrull Secret Defenders on defense, because you can't you can't Eternals, Apocalypse, pre-taunt the Secret Defender Skrull team. And you can't beat the Superior 6 in the mirror matchup readily. I'm sure you can, but then you're taking the onus onto yourself. And whatever you put on defense is a lot easier to deal with, because as we discussed in this slide here, all the other options for defense, they're easily handled by what we already have. All right, so the big problem I think we're about to face is a heavy defense meta in Crucible. This definitely could have been helped if, like, a Goblin Awakened ability gave him 1 extra speed, or if he spawned with immunity with the Awakened ability, something like that on offense would have changed how this flows. But as it currently stands, I believe we're headed into a very defense-heavy meta. Let me know what you guys are thinking about the Superior 6 team. If you've played with them yesterday, if you're going to have them unlocked for next week, if you're looking forward to facing off against a defense-heavy meta, or do you have some sort of secret tech? Do you already know how to beat the full Superior 6 team, not using Apocalypse, not using Skrull, not using the mirror matchup? Or do you know how to make the mirror matchup go first? 9% speed bar from Goblin, to me, means Emma doesn't do it. Of course Emma doesn't do it. Cable only does 5%, so he doesn't do it either. I'm very interested to know all your thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.